A woman comes to the Prophet ﷺ. She says, 2 men came and proposed to me for marriage. What do you think of them? Is this the time for his mercy? They are both lovely men. Then she gets married and she regrets for the rest of her life. He says, the first guy who proposed to you, صُعْلُوكٌ لَا مَالَ لَهُ. He's a poor guy with no money. And the second one, فَضَرَّابٌ لِلنِّسَاءِ. He's known to be domestically abusive. Avoid them both. Why? Honesty. Why? Because she gets married. And he was generous with his compliments for these 2 men. She would suffer for the rest of her life. So the Prophet ﷺ, everyone he deals with, he comes on their level. He deals with them where they are at. A young man comes to the Prophet ﷺ. He says to the Prophet ﷺ, إِذِنْ لِي فِي الزِّنَا. Ya Rasulullah, I give up. My desires, too much. Just let me commit intercourse, akramakumullah, with this lady. I'm in love with this woman. I want to do something with her. I just need your permission. Now, if somebody wants to do zina, if somebody wants to have illegal relations with someone, do they need the Prophet's permission? So the fact that he came to the Prophet, what does this mean about him? Not just that he's pious. He knows it's wrong. He wants help. He has a guilty conscience. If he wanted to do it, he can do it. People in Medina did zina. But this boy, young man, he came to ask the Prophet, I can't do it unless you let me do it. That means he fears Allah. He doesn't want to disobey the Prophet. There's some goodness in this young man. Now the Sahaba are ready to take him down, as always. They're on the standby, ready to give the jab, uppercut, knockout. Because this man is, it's disrespect to a leader for someone to come and say, let me do zina. Maybe if it was you or me, we would have given him the stick. Of course, the miswak stick. We don't condone violence in this masjid, guys. Come on. So the Prophet ﷺ, how does he deal with this young man? He says, come here, come here. He says, look, would you like for this to be done to your mom? No, of course not. What about your sister? Of course not. People have sisters and mums, They don't like this to be done to their moms and sisters either. He came down to his level. Imagine if the Prophet ﷺ said to him, fear Allah, young man, and a day in which the fire will burn your face. This young man would have ran in the opposite direction. But he found a way to get to him, a way that he would accept, by comparing this lady to his mother and his sister. All you need to be is a human to appreciate that. If the fear of Allah had worked, he wouldn't have reached this point. So he needed to remind him about the rights of human beings, other people. People don't like this to be done to their sisters and mothers. This woman is a sister and a mother. You should respect her for being a human, for being a sister, even if you don't have right now the consciousness of Allah. So he knew which angle to come to him. He understood him very well. He didn't rush to judgment. He understood where he was coming from. Last but not least, the family of the Prophet ﷺ. Let us start with being helpful. The Prophet ﷺ would mend his own shoes, sew his own buttons, clean his own clothes. The word his wife used, كَانَ فِي خِدْمَةِ أَهْلِهِ. He was in the service of his family. When he was at home, he was helping out. I know, gentlemen, after a long day of work, we get tired. We want to just sit on the couch. There's the father sofa. Father always sits on this particular part of the sofa, and he lifts his legs. He's done his day's job. But this is the hard work. This is the jihad of the Prophet ﷺ. There's a jihad at home as well. Yes, you're tired. Yes, the lower back is hurting. Yes, you have sweat. Yes, you have no desire in the world to get up. But just for the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, get up and do something in the house. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. How was he with his wives, with his children? If his daughter Fatima radiallahu anha entered the house, he would stand up to meet her and kiss her on her forehead. This is how he'd greet his daughter. Daughters, how were they dealt with before he came as a prophet? How would they deal with daughters? The Qurayshis, the Meccans, yes? They would bury them alive. And he's standing up for his daughter and kissing her on the forehead just to greet her. And he says, if somebody enters a room, they should never expect people to stand up for them. But yet with his own daughter, he would stand up to greet her. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He's in salah. His two naughty grandchildren, Al-Hasan, Al-Hussein, come, they climb on his back. What does he do? He stays in sujood. What do? We do a wrestling smackdown. Make sure we tear a few ligaments on the way, break a few bones, so this child learns never to climb on my back again. He stays, his sujood is so long, the companions, they start lifting their head. What's going on? Has he forgotten that he's in salah? And they just see a child is using him as a horse. And he stays in salah. He's praying salah, and we know how much he loves salah. We know that the most peaceful moment in his life was the moment he says, Allahu Akbar. Yet, if he heard the cry of a baby, he would shorten his salah, cut it short, pray it longer at home.